There we
Hey,
go.
everybody, welcome to Your Music Sucks. I'm Brian Beaudoin. That is my good buddy Craig Gash. You can hear him on the Howard Stern Show. He was on King of Queens and Sex in the City. Hey, Craig, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm excited about this because I have a surprise for you.
Oh, yeah? Word?
Last week, you sent me a song from a band that you were surprised that I knew who they were, O.A.R. And I
That's
told
right.
you that I not only know who they are, that I had this incredible story about them, that the singer was one of the nicest people I've ever met, and a band that I didn't know anything about. I watched their live show. After we got done with that podcast, I told you I was going to find the song that made me cry. And I also texted the singer who, you're laughing at me already about crying at the song.
Yeah, because I heard it. It's very funny.
You know, that's funny. I want to bring that up if you're going to make fun of me because we'll get to it when you're, if you're going to attempt to make fun of me, I'm going to bring up something. But anyways, my point being, for the first time, we've been talking about bringing some of the musicians that we know to join us, some comedians that we know. We're almost 50 episodes in, and we finally have our first guest joining us. There'll be many, many more, but it was so appropriate that you threw this band at me and that I had this story. And we have Mark, the singer of OAR, joining us right now so that I can share the story with Mark. Wow, what a setup. What's going on, Mark?
I'm just chilling. I'm hanging in my room, man. I'm just got the kids to bed, so I'm just hanging out.
How many kids do you have?
43,000.
Wow.
No,
These are
three.
Wilt
Three.
Chamberlain numbers. Those are Wilt Chamberlain numbers.
You know what?
Three amazing kiddos.
After seeing their show live, I could see him having 43,000 children, actually.
Yeah.
By the way, have you ever seen OAR live, Brian?
Oh, yeah, tons of times. I've seen you guys a bunch.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I got introduced when you guys were opening up for Dave Matthews a bunch. And then you Foxtrot Zulu would open up for you guys. I saw a bunch of those shows.
That's my brother's band. You know Foxtrot Zulu?
Oh yeah. Oh, them at the Ocean Mist is the best concert of the year. Yeah.
Oh, you're literally, this is the best. Send me this clip because my brother's gonna freak out. He's the drummer of Foxtrot Zulu. When I grew up, they'd come through the house and stay at the basement, and I just saw that. I was like, oh, I want to be in a band just like that. So that's amazing. Whoa.
You know what, Mark? I'm gonna do a little teaser right now. We can send this to your brother. We might not want to send this to the guys in Dispatch, just based on my review of the Dispatch line.
Oh no, don't.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just, it's more of my ADHD and my need to have to connect dots when I listen to a song. So it's not bad. I actually enjoyed the song, but I have this thing that goes on in my head where I have to make sense of things. Yeah. And so I've made some.
And it's not like you have to look Dispatch in the face, Craig, while you do it. You know.
Well, you're saying, oh wow, okay, I got you. So, anyways, to recap, I go to a Train show. A friend of mine who plays in the band Train brings me backstage, introduces me to a bunch of people, and he says, this guy from the opening act, OAR, wants to meet you, which I thought was like a Hollywood thing. Oh, this guy wants to meet. And then you go and you meet somebody and they're like, who? And you go, oh, I'm Craig. I'm a comedian. But this guy knew who I was. He's a huge Howard Stern fan. And then I start connecting the dots and I go, oh, I know who this guy is. This guy's been on the wrap-up show a bunch of times. I know exactly who this guy is. So I go out to watch his band. His band, OAR, looks like what I thought comedy was going to be when I first started doing stand-up, which is, in my mind, I thought it was going to be the most fun experience of traveling with friends and just having a great time, which comedy is not. It is not that. There are huge communication problems between all these dysfunctional people that have different levels of communication skills, which you actually find out happens within bands and their touring organizations. But I was really taken with how much fun this group of guys, and I don't know how long this lineup has been together? How long have you guys been together?
So basically it's the same band from junior high school. Like our first show was the 8th grade talent show. We played, yeah, so we covered Pearl Jam, and then the second show was like the cafeteria at lunch.
Working your way up to the teacher's lounge, baby.
Yeah, like, and then the local biker bar, and it was just like very homegrown.
Okay.
And the same members. We've added 16 years ago, a keyboard player, Mike Paris, and 10 years ago, a trumpet player, John Lampley. So it's only like growing, but never shrinking type situation.
Wow. Well, the vibe looks like what I fantasize what traveling would look like for me doing stand-up comedy. And then there was a song that I heard, and it's hard for me to like a band the first time I see them, but there was a song that I heard, and it really hit me when I heard it. And I actually went home that night and looked it up. But I think we should start with Mark. So the whole point of this is Your Music Sucks is Brian and I are good friends. We love each other. We love hanging out with each other. The only thing we don't see eye to eye on is music. I usually like heavier stuff. He likes jam bands. And so once a week we get together, we turn each other onto a song. This week we're adding a third song because Mark sent both of us a Genesis song. Do you want to start with this, Brian, with Genesis?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll start out. You sent Throw It All Away by Genesis. And I want to tell you how much I love fucking Phil Collins. I was literally wearing this fucking shirt today that just says, "Gonna get high, listen to Phil Collins." And that's what I did. And I did.
That's a great shirt.
It's a great shirt. But this is great. I fucking like anything by Phil Collins is fucking a banger, right? Even if it's like, this is a sad song. It's a sad song, but you forget that it's a sad song because Phil Collins is so fucking sexy. And it's basically him just coming to grips, right? Fucking he knows that she's leaving. Nothing he can fucking do. That's it. Done. See you later. He's owning his shit. And as sad as it is, I was jamming out the whole fucking time as if I just got into a relationship. It was great.
Yeah, that song. Oh, so sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say, Mark? Go ahead.
I was just saying that song, like so many Genesis and Phil Collins songs, if you really listen to the lyric, he is I don't know personally, but he seems like a tortured love. He just cannot get treated right. I just feel like this dude has been taken advantage of, and that's what he writes these songs about. And this one is juxtaposed to this music that is just so driving and positive feeling. It's like you can still kind of feel the Peter Gabriel thing hanging around. It's very cool and very great delivery. But yeah, you're right. The lyrics, it's sad. I mean, need I say I love you? Need I say I care? It's like, oh, fuck, what's this going to be?
I have a different take on this. But Brian, on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you give this, Brian?
5. Phil Collins.
5 out of 5. Wow, that's a rare thing. I already knew this song. I already love this song, even though I grew up listening to heavier stuff. It's you can't avoid Genesis, and I love Phil Collins. I actually saw his show for the first time a few years ago in Las Vegas at T-Mobile Arena, and was floored. I don't know if I told you this, Brian. Phil Collins walks out on stage now, at least he did on that show, with a cane. He has mobility problems. His son actually plays drums now, and he walks out on stage alone to start the show and sings "Take a Look at Me Now." And if that doesn't make you start your period, I don't know what does. It's such a moving moment to see this beautiful human being sit down who's been bearing his soul. I'm listening to this song and I'm realizing all these years that I've heard this song and I've been somewhat familiar with it, that I had a completely different point of view of it, that it was him saying to a woman to her face how much he loves her. I've never read the lyrics, and I'm starting to realize somebody fucked over Phil, and it made me mad listening to it. Because when he says, "Need I say I love you? Need I say I care?" I picture it like late at night, saying goodnight to the love of your life, and it sounds like his heart is full. That's the way I've always heard the song. But when you listen to the lyrics, you see that he says, I don't want to be sitting here trying to deceive you because I know why, that I don't want to go. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? I had no idea. It hurt me to read these lyrics and realize somebody fucked up. Who is this bitch that fucked over Phil? Like I'm upset on Phil's behalf that some horrible girl did this to him. So it's a 5 out of 5, but
we need to find this bitch, Craig, and take her down.
I need names. I need names. Poor Phil. This guy's just never having any luck. But yeah, 5 out of 5 for sure. That was an amazing song, Mark. And
fantastic.
I sent the two of you the song that brings us all together. Again, it is really rare for me to hear a song for the first time and feel something. And I was really moved by it hearing it live. I was in a relationship with a woman who I absolutely loved. It was the best relationship I'd ever had in my life. And there was constant conflict that would come up. And I was constantly trying to figure out how to find peace so that we could just exist. And so the song really spoke to me. And I wasn't sure if I misunderstood it. So when I got home, found the video, read the lyrics, and got even more emotional. I cried watching it live. Cried watching it over and over again. Then I showed it to her. She cried. And so is it awkward, Mark, that we go to you now to tell us your review of your own song?
No, listen, not awkward at all, because that's the highest form of, whatever, just like a high five on a song, is that if someone connects to it emotionally. Now, what I'm learning and what I always kind of felt was that a song, the people who wrote it, their intentions of what this song is about doesn't have to be the way you see it. So when it connects with you about this relationship, like, that should be what the song's about. For me, writing the song from where I'm coming from, it comes from a totally different place. But when we perform it, I'll find like something to connect with and bring it home. And that's the highest like compliment you could give, is connecting to it emotionally. But for me, the song came about with
by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I didn't even say the name of the song. We should say the name of the song.
Oh, sorry. Peace. The song Peace.
Okay. Yep.
Yes, you're absolutely right. The song Peace. It came because I was at a Recording Academy meeting. I saw this producer, Nathan Chapman, across the room. My wife was telling me on the phone, like, get some balls, go up there and say hi, tell him you want to work with them. Because like, I'm very reserved in that sense. I won't approach someone and just
Mark,
be like,
can I ask you a question about that before you continue? I'm sorry to interrupt. Does your wife ever get you more worked up than you would be if she hadn't like reinforced in a moment like that? Does she get you more worked up and get you kind of like coming out guns blazing sometimes?
Yeah, she's on like every big moment of my, like, where I've been in a cool meeting and shit. I always like leave to go to the bathroom and be like, hey, this is what the meeting is. Yeah. And she's like, get it, let's go, get your, come on, buck up, let's go in there. And it's like, it's cool as hell,
She loves you.
Yeah, she's amazing. And so I just approached him and said, I want to work with you, I love what you do. And he said, I got one day in Nashville. I went down there, we did one day, got in a room with Blair Daly, me and Nathan wrote the song in 45 minutes and recorded it that day. And Peace was written about my wife and I. She had just gotten through some incredibly challenging health issues. The story is about two people who overcame something together and had to reconnect. And that piece was like so hard to get to, so turbulent for so many really rough years, that like she finally had broken through and we had reached some sort of plateau. And that's what the piece was about. So the song got written in 45 minutes really easily.
Wow. Brian, I'm afraid to ask, but because you are attaching me crying to this, and you were making fun of me for crying.
It's very funny. And then explaining it now made me even more joyful, because I don't know. It just made me. It made me laugh. It was very
that I cried.
yeah.
All right, go ahead.
That's what
All
friends are for.
Yeah.
right. We had it out. He sent me like a 20-minute Billy Joel song one time, Mark. It was ridiculous. Okay.
For some reason, Brian doesn't like Billy Joel. I can't figure it out. But go
Oh,
ahead.
don't challenge me. I love Billy.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's a hack. All right. So this is so weird doing this after you explain what the song is actually about.
Of course.
Because the first line is, this song is clearly about some idiot that fucked off and pissed his lady off. And you're the idiot. And
But it's not. But it's not about
but
that.
it's not. But it's not. And then the verses, it sounds like shit that I would say to somebody to just try to get out of an argument and just kind of move on, right? Like, look, I don't want to fight no more. You know, I just want to get to shore. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say that unless I was on a boat, but you get what I'm saying. You know, like, hey, we just want a place that's warm and safe. We want the same thing. Let's just move the fuck on, right?
I like that. That's funny.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like, to me, I hear this song as a couple in a relationship that's on the verge of collapse. But then the chorus hits me a completely different way. Because it's like, when I'm in a relationship, that's what I want to do. I just want to make you laugh. I want to see you smile, all that shit. And it's funny, I actually listened to this song after I had sex like the other day, which makes this even more ironic, right? Imagine that. Like,
I was literally
This is great.
getting emotional and getting ready to cry again when you said a relationship starting to buckle and starting to snap, because it made me think about how that relationship ended. And then you brought up that god awful visual that just went into my head. But go ahead.
yeah, so I hear like two completely different songs, and I think maybe just as a comedian with the ADHD, when I separate the verses from the chorus, like the chorus is like this beautiful love song, and the verse is like all this trials and tribulations. But then when you play it live during a show, like there's people finger banging in the crowd. It's crazy, and it's like that. It's every time. It's unbelievable. Like, this is the one song where I don't dance and I just kind of look around at everybody and then listen to the song. It's beautiful. But yeah,
Oh
this
my
is
God,
all
this
shit.
is
This
great.
is all shit that I would say to somebody to get out of an argument. All of it. All of it. All of it.
All right. So
Sorry if I made you cry,
but
right?
it makes total sense though, the way that you put that, like dismissive shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, chill, just chill. We're good,
Yeah.
right? We're good.
Yeah, like if we really break it down, like it says at one point, you know, you let the rain in and then you just want to get to shore. So now I'm just picturing this couple arguing on a boat while it's drizzling.
Which
and
I've
the
done.
window's open.
Which I've done in that last relationship.
Or is it in Good Will Hunting, the painting in the room with the dude on the stormy seas in the little boat? You know what I'm saying? It's like that kind of shit. That kind of shit where you're just like, it's turbulent every day. Is like, whoa, and then it's not. And then you're like, oh shit, I got this. So the song is about that day you wake up and you look at each other and you're like, okay, we got this, but like we got to settle. So you know what I'm saying? We got to settle the waters.
Yeah.
But the way that you put it is so funny because it does sound like that. It does sound like it's like just dismissive as hell.
Mark, he does this all the time. I send him my favorite heavy metal songs all the time, and he breaks down things that I don't even realize exist in those songs. And I go, wow, that does sound ridiculous.
But that's the beauty of music, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's like when I hear a song that I love, it affects me a totally different way than, you know, my buddy or something. You know what I mean? And we will sit there and do that. We do that on the bus. We do it mostly with comedies, like movies. We love to just fucking watch something like Pop Star 70,000 times.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Like a Mighty Wind, you know, we'll watch it 70 times. And that's our thing. But we do it now with songs too. We're doing it with a lot of like the pop songs, you know, breaking them down a little bit.
I sent Brian a song that it took me years to hear before I realized it was a song about recovery. I've been in recovery for I've been sober for over 17 years now. and it's an Aerosmith song called Amazing. And I must have heard that song hundreds of times before I heard the lyrics and went, oh my God, every line of this song is a recovery line. There's catchphrases you hear in recovery. It's all like the song is completely filled from top to bottom with recovery lines. I sent it to Brian, and Brian said it's a great song to get high to. He had no idea what the song was about.
It was amazing.
You see? Yeah, so that's a perfect example.
All right.
Oh man, Aerosmith, goddamn, I could have sent you many songs from Aerosmith that changed my shit, man. Whew.
Well, Brian, OAR, what on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you give that song?
5, absolutely.
A 5. Oh, and Mark,
The fact
I
that
didn't
you
ask
cried-
you, Mark, on a
That
scale
is
of 1 to
very
5.
nice.
Mark, I didn't ask you on a scale of 1 to 5. What did you give your OAR song?
You know, I've never done this before. A 5.
Were you thinking about giving it less than a 5 or?
For a second, and then I realized that's just like my Jewish guilt, just immediately telling me.
You know what?
No,
Before
you know.
we get to the last song, comedians have this thing where you'll work on a thought, an idea that you think is so smart, it's so well done, you can't wait to present it to people, and people just don't get it. And then there's things that you'll put out in the universe that you'll think, this is kind of generic and kind of stupid, and people love it. Is songwriting like that, where you put out a song and you go, this isn't really that good of a song, and people embrace it?
Songwriting is like that in the sense of when you're in the process of really in the studio songwriting in a group, you really do need to break it down sometimes and just get to the point. Don't bore us, get to the chorus, like
Right.
all that cliche shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of true, unless you're determined to make music that is free flowing and with no rules. Then you're in another ball game, and there's really no rules. But like in songwriting for, I guess, commercial purposes, you're sitting there thinking like, hey, I want to say something, but I'm going to take into consideration the melody with which I say it, or the cadence with which I say it, and how many things sound good too, and then that becomes a challenge of how to get the point across in just 3 or 4 syllables, if that's so that art I really respect. I love the art of songwriting of pop songs and things that are shortened down for a reason. Interesting question, but yes, and you do see more success with those things than with the more broad, thought out, long versed journeys that you think are just really working for your own, get you off,
Yeah.
So yes, there is a difference.
All right, so we got 2 5s for the OAR song. And Brian, I know this wasn't your intention, and I hope you don't mind me doing this, but when I sent your Dispatch song to Mark, he said, oh man, I'm going on tour with that band this summer. My band and that band are going on tour together. Brian, would you like to tell Mark something about your connection to that band?
Yeah.
Mark,
you're
not going to believe what Brian's about to tell you. And I'm
Right.
so curious to hear what a musician has to say about what Brian is about to tell you. And it happens to be about the band you're going on tour with. Brian, start the confession.
Number 1, can't wait for the tour. See in Massachusetts, August 20th.
Wow. All right.
Mansfield. Yes.
Yeah.
But
so in high school, that it was like right around late 90s, right? So that's when Dispatch just came out. That's when you guys started coming out, right? All that. And nobody had the Dispatch CD, and I was dating this chick, and I told her that I was in the band Dispatch.
he lied to this girl to impress her, to say that
awesome.
he was in the band. And then
I want to know everything. Tell
me.
Oh,
Mark, there's some amazing details to this. This is amazing details because you can't let it go once you put it out there. You can't say, I'm not in the band anymore. He's trapped. He's now in the He's now in the band Dispatch, according to this girl that he's trying to impress.
I had to learn the entire Bang Bang album, Mark. I had to tell her I was in the band. Not only did I tell her I was in the band, I'm not the drummer. I'm not the fucking bassist. I'm the goddamn lead singer of Dispatch.
Is that what you said, lead singer? I thought it was guitar player.
Dude,
No.
that is so
No.
great. I can't even begin to tell you. That's the best fucking story I ever heard.
Now, wait a minute. Hold up. I'm sorry to cut you guys off, but there is a punchline in my head, which is when Brian ends up at the house of the girl, and the girl tells
Craig,
her
we're
dad.
getting there.
Okay.
This is where the guitar comes in.
Okay.
So the only thing that I can play on the guitar is Out Loud, right? The Dispatch song Out Loud. That's the only song I can play on the guitar.
Okay.
So I end up going over to this girl's house for like Christmas. It's dessert, family sitting around the table. Dad sits down next to me. He goes, here. So here you're in a band. Like, yep, Dispatch.
He's
Now
still
you have
keeping the
told
lie.
you. This is like a Seinfeld. Okay.
He's still keeping the lie.
He goes, do you know Lauren says you know how to play the guitar. I'm like, yeah, know a song on the guitar. I don't really play the guitar. He goes, think you can play that song on the bass, right? And I'm like, well, they're kind of the same. He goes, my stepson just happened to get a bass for Christmas. They bring in a fucking electric bass, and I'm sitting there.
No.
I'm sitting there at the Christmas table, just go boom, 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 boom.
And are they buying it?
Oh, the grandma is hooked, baby. But that is it. The dad's just everybody knew at that point. And I didn't even stop. I sang the whole goddamn song. I didn't stop.
I think the only reason the dad brought it up is because the dad thought you were full of shit. That's when you told me that story.
100%.
And the dad says, "Hey, so you play? Why don't you?" Yeah, dude, that is one of the most unbelievably awkward stories I've ever heard in my life.
That is a great story because when I was coming up, there was a point where on Facebook, I've never had a Facebook account like for myself, but someone had my name, I guess. And my cousin, he was like hitting up my cousins with messages, and my cousins were telling my girlfriend at the time, hey, Mark's on Facebook and he's hitting up all these girls and da, 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 da. So there was a guy pretending to be me.
No way.
Yeah, and just like
all right, Brian,
yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. That was me pretending. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But man,
wow.
I mean, this is a great. Write this down. Great movie idea. Great movie idea. Just this guy who'll do anything for love. He's just
well, and here's the thing. So the final song that we're going to review is a song that Brian wrote when he was in Dispatch, and it's a song called Mission. Right? Mark, you want to go first?
Yeah. So for me, Dispatch, we just got together and played, a set for Twitch. It was from a venue here in New York, and we got to learn each other's songs. And it was the first time we really got to dig into each other's catalog a little bit and start that process. Because over the years, we'd seen each other once 20 years ago. We did a gig together, maybe two, and then we never played again for 20-something years. So we're just now getting familiar again with each other's world. So we spent that time doing it and understanding the Dispatch, what their music means to them, like how devoted and loyal they are to their music, and their lyric and everything means a lot. I really respect everything they do. So I can hear in this song, their lyric is very specific and very just driven, and they really support that with inventive music. So I like Dispatch for what they do, and they remind me of where we come from back in the 90s, and it really sounds cool.
So on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you give this Dispatch song?
As like, is this as it and just in general?
Yeah, for this Dispatch song that we're talking about, this song Mission, scale of 1 to 5, 5 being that it crushes, what would you give it?
So of the Dispatch songs that I have heard, this on the first listen, this is it's a 4 or 5 for me.
Right on. So let's say 4.5. Let's split the difference. We'll do 4.5.
Yeah.
So Brian, I'd never heard of Dispatch except for the fact that you were in the band. That's all I've known about this band, Dispatch. And so this song, I will say this, Brian. Brian likes to send me jam bands where I don't feel it musically right from the jump. Musically, I actually like this right from the jump. And I will listen to a song one time through from Brian, and then I'll go back and listen to it again and read the lyrics. That's where I had problems because it seemed like I really struggled to understand what they were saying because the lyrics are, "We will go there, leave this weakness, can't take this from me. Oh yeah, we will go there, leave this weakness because I've been waiting." Like he cuts himself off when he goes, "Because I've been waiting." Like there's something, I kind of feel like I met a guy like this once at a bus stop who doesn't have complete sentences, and like I'm like, "Oh shit, you're crazy. Okay, I'm not going to talk to you." It's the chorus repeats, "Lo, we are not so, we on a mission. Lo, we are not so, we're on a mission." And I kept thinking, on a mission to what? I don't, what's the mission? And then they get back to people damn this and people damn that, and there'll be no talk of turning back. Yeah, damn this, damn that. People damn talking, and then randomly he just goes, "We will fly sometimes." And I was like, "Whoa, what?" I like there's no connection to anything. The lyrics don't make any sense to me at all, and I got really frustrated trying to think of like, maybe this is about drugs and I don't know it, and I just haven't done drugs in so long that I'm not connected to it. I just feel like if I get a chance to see this show, I will smell pot during this song. I'm like certain I'm going to smell pot during this song. That's all I know. But here's the crazy thing. The musically, I loved it. I just couldn't understand what the fuck they're singing about.
So what I was saying about the lyric, right? And sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh man, I'm terrible. I'm the worst guest.
No, this is perfect.
You're the only guest.
Yeah, you're up first. There will be many, but you are first.
Yeah, there will be many. What I think is that what I meant by their lyrics, they are on a mission, right? So this group, I'm telling you, they follow through on giving back, and they're true. I think what these songs are always pointing to is like, hey, let's get up, let's help somebody. And maybe that's what the general point is. And coming from a band from this era in the 90s, when we're making songs, a lot of us are making up the words as we go, especially in the studio too. So we had this long ass song, Crazy Game of Poker. Half of it I just made up one day in the studio.
That was the song we heard last week.
We did it last week.
Oh,
yeah.
And the sounds, and I'm babba-da-booba-da-bee, all this shit.
I talked about that. Like I thought you ran out of ideas.
I did. So we had no money. Yeah. So like we had no money. We're in this dude's basement. He's like, "All right, let's go. I wrote the beginning of the song already, but the second half with the baby the bops and the lyrics, it's like we just made that up. So I guarantee you, and coming from that era, this was very common for bands to be making up things in these general terms of upliftingness, whatever, yep. Some sort of general message, and then the words were fitting in there where they could. So that's how I took it, and their intention was something I learned that they really follow through. But yes, I can see why, if you're coming from the heavier world or any very intentional lyric world, it might seem like we are making stuff up, and we are, but we're trying to stay in.
So interesting, and probably answers a lot of questions as to why, when it comes to listening to jam bands, it's live versions, and I throw the studio away. Probably because of that, because it's that one time they played it, one time you heard it, they let it run, and then as you play it through the shows, it gets tighter, better. It makes perfect sense.
And you know what's funny is Mark just said what I would say is the equivalent of a comedian being staying late to watch Gilbert Gottfried or Norm Macdonald close out a show, where a lot of people might walk out on them. Like comedians understand where another comedian, like there's some comedians that are comedians. And that's kind of what it sounded like to me that Mark is saying. I kind of get where they're going with that. And by the way, before we let you go, Mark, I have to ask you, because the more I looked into your band, and then the more I hear what you're describing Dispatch as, which is a lot of positivity. How are you not being affected by we're not working for the same clubs. Brian and I work in comedy clubs. You're working, you came up through music clubs. Now you guys are a big enough band that you're doing bigger venues, but how do you keep positivity when you deal with shady people all over the country? You don't know what you're about to walk into when you come into a city, and you don't know at the end of the night when the guy's supposed to pay you. Like, before you get to that question, I just want to tell you, to give you an example, there was a famous comedy club owner in Kansas City who passed away a couple years ago, and a radio station there in Kansas City asked me to come on and say a few words about him. And I didn't mean for this to be funny. I was looking at the guy's Facebook page, and I just opened up with saying, man, I've never seen so many tributes open with the words, you know what? Love him or hate him. Like, love him or hate him about a guy that just died.
Yeah.
How do you keep positivity in a world where there's so many negative people?
Because I think being honest about it, it's like I cannot stand, I fucking hate inspirational quotes. I hate, like when I see them on the internet, like, you know, I'm just anything, it drives me nuts. And so I never wanted to be the person that was out there just talking shit. So we really try, and I know this sounds insane, but the group together, we have this thing. Ever since we played Madison, this is fucking sounds ridiculous, but we played Madison Square Garden in 2006. Yeah, and we looked at each other and we said, listen, if we never play an arena again and we just play clubs again, great, whatever. Every night is MSG. And so
Wow.
every single day since then, it's an attitude of like, yo, we're so lucky. Like, we come from the neighborhood. We're just every day we're like, wow, can you believe this shit? So I try to lead with that. The songs always wrap up in a positive way because we're leading in that direction, but being honest about, like, if we've lost friends, a song on the new album is about my buddy who got killed in gun violence and all these. We try to address issues with positive endings. It's just like, why not go in that direction if you have that? I just can't stand the empty promises of, y'all feeling good for the 30th time that night, you know, like, it's not, you know.
I will say I've seen you guys a bunch. The funniest show I ever saw you guys do was at the Wolf Den in Mohegan Sun, because it was like O.A.R. showed up, and like this army of fucking people showed up to see O.A.R. But then from the outskirts of that, they have like the slot machines, so there's like ladies playing, and they're like, they don't know what the fuck is going on. And I was blowing weed in their face. It was great.
This is a great show, guys. Because honestly, because these memories, the Wolf Den, you were going into this show thinking every night is MSG, right?
Every night is MSG. And I'm like, I'll take you to the fucking Wolf Den for free.
And then I'm like, it's like, we're not even in the high limit slot area and shit. Like, we're in the fucking penny slot, you know?
Oh my God.
So
then you got,
but
well,
that's
you
that's
just
really
made
funny.
me really, really into seeing this tour that you guys are going to do with O.A.R. and Brian's former band, Dispatch. Please tell the guys that Brian still endorses them carrying the torch and carrying on without them.
Oh,
And,
Brian, you got to come say hi when we're at the Man. And
I would love
and
that. Yeah,
they would think it's great. It's the funniest shit ever. It really is. It really is the funniest shit ever. So you got to come say hi, and we'll put it all together that night.
Mark,
that's their big night. So
if there's a way that Brian can find that bass from that ex-girlfriend's house and just have himself photographed with the whole band, send it to the girl's dad.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Incredible.
Best.
Mark, where is the best place to find anything about the tour and anything about O.A.R.?
Well, you can find us at Of a Revolution everywhere, or liveoar.com. We have all the info and all the fun stuff. Thank you.
liveoar.com or at of a revolution on any of the platforms.
That's right. That's right.
Right. Ryan, Wicked Funny Podcast.
WickedFunnyPodcast.com and IllinoisCockburn.com. Spell the way you're saying.
Cockburn.com. IllinoisCockburn.com, exactly as it sounds. And I will be on the road while Howard's on vacation. Tour dates are coming out and an incredible video of a promotion. And I just found out I'm going to be doing shows in Asia and Australia next at the end of the winter, February, March. There's a lot of stuff coming out, and Brian and I are going to do some shows together. We're going to do Your Music Sucks live at a couple venues around the country. So thank you, Mark, for joining us and for being our first guest and for having a great sense.
Thank you, Mark. This was great.
Yeah, oh man, let me know if I can get some folks coming on it. This is really fun. I loved every minute of it, man. Lots of laughs.
You know what? I will absolutely be checking in with you. And there's some other questions I wanted to ask you that I'm going to text you about because some other things I just knew would just make this thing go on for another 20, 30 minutes. And I don't want to keep your time because I know you got kids. And
I'm a bit of a talker. It could be a long one.
Mark, I will say this, man. You're a good human being to go to a show where I don't know anything about a band and to just to be completely unaware of what's going on musically because I'm not familiar with it. I'm not familiar with the grooves. I'm being exposed to all these grooves for the first time, but seeing an energy that you guys were putting out and the way you communicated with the crowd that night, it was genuinely an experience that was so positive that I kept thinking like, this is what I thought comedy was going to be. And it takes time to get your own little tribe together where you can make it what you want, if that's what your goal is. But man, it just seems like if I had any talent, that's what I would want to do is hang out with a bunch of guys who also had talent and just, I mean, none of it seemed orchestrated and it just seemed like controlled chaos of fun. So
Doug, I appreciate it so much because look, we wanted to be the Goonies of rock and roll. We came up on our bikes in the neighborhood. Like, we just want to be buddies. The Stand By Me was my favorite movie. It was like all about that. And so now we have that. So when you come visit on tour, you join the party, join the family for the day. It's really fun.
You know what's funny is Mark described the high school years. I used to smoke pot all day, every day with a group of friends, and we would always talk about listening to our favorite music. How cool would it be to put a band together and travel around the world? Except we didn't become OAR. We all became cokeheads. So like we never picked up any instruments. We all just like got bad drug problems. And
I also became a cokehead and I didn't even know Craig at the time. It was great.
All right. Thank you for joining this episode. Like, subscribe. Your music sucks, Brian. I love you. And man, Mark, that was amazing. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, guys. See you later.